down to your landing page, down to your website, blah, 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 blah. You can even do that with all the social networks, right? Because with LinkedIn, you can do live lead capture, totally easy. Twitter, advertising, which actually spend a lot of money on because it's fantastic. Website card advertising, right? You can drive it right down to a lead to a landing page. And the most important thing to me, and what I'm here to talk about today, is developing relationships, right? That's why I gave you guys homework. Hopefully you don't think I'm crazy and you do introduce yourselves to each other and smile, right? Because it's about developing relationships when it comes to B2B, right? So I do LinkedIn training, coaching, writing, and blah, blah, blah. I've been doing it for so long. And one astounding fact that I find with all of my, I would say 90% of my private clients, is that they don't know a third to two-thirds of their first LinkedIn network. It blows me away. That they don't take the time, and I think it's everybody, right? Like, I mean, do you know everybody in your LinkedIn network? Have you taken the time to get to know them, right? To even have a stupid phone call with them, or a coffee, or a drink, even better, or go to a ball game or something, right? This is about relationship development, okay? And this is really where B2B really works. Because this is how you can get to know the people that you want to do business with, okay? Then it leads down to education, which has everything to do with content marketing, right? You can use it for promotions, and then you can outreach and close. So it's a perfect integration is the point of this slide. I'm sorry, I could go on because I'm very passionate about this. All right, so your social ecosystem, this is a thing that I think is really important for you to understand because we're here to make money, right? That's why you guys came to Click Z Live, to learn about selling and making money, right? So this, to me, is a sales machine. It's like, who do I know? Okay, so who's in my LinkedIn network? Let's just take that because it's B2B, right? Who's in this network, and are they an influencer, right? Are they a potential buyer? Are they an old friend of mine? Like, who is this person? Because who your B2B brand connects with and affects, right? With engaging content is what can lead to a sale. So when we talk about your social networks as a B2B marketer, you first want to look at, well, actually, who's in my network, okay? So who's in my network, and what's my sales plan every week? Like in traditional B2B sales, what do we used to say? We used to say we need to make 15 phone calls a week, we get an X number of leads, and then maybe we'll get a proposal done this month, and blah, 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 blah. So now, right? So now we can amplify the hell out of that, because LinkedIn, right, 435 plus million users, Facebook 1.5 billion, right? Something crazy like that. So you have this amplification. So if you set yourself up correctly, you can look for referral partners, right? So I tend to work a lot with law firms for some reason, and their partners tend to be financial services advisors or CPAs and accountants, right? So what we look to do is how can we create content and how can we develop relationships with potential referral partners so I have people selling for me and I don't need to be out there killing myself and promoting myself. So that's number one, right? Number two is constantly you're creating influencer relationships, right? So what influencer relationships really mean is how many of you guys, for example, read on, let's say, LinkedIn Pulse, okay? Good, all right. So how many of you guys actually comment on stories? How many of you share those stories? Very good, sir. So, this is really where you're starting to get a blip of visibility. Because in my world, it's about brand visibility, right, and search. So it's like getting that blip of visibility to these influencer relationships to get to a point where you become, which I'm going to get into, a thought leader in your industry, okay? You want to do things like, these are just examples, but in content marketing, initiate a webinar, right? Write a blog post, have a content plan. I have a content plan I'm going to show you, which you guys can steal. Invite this broader ecosystem that I have into your life, because at the end of the day, your success is becoming the hub, right? Not the spoke, but the hub. So people start coming to you for information like, hey, can you refer me to so-and-so? What do you think about this, Jasmine? Great. Then I know I'm doing a good job, right? You want to ensure this is something that's probably a long-term goal, but ensure that major media can rely on your story. So for me, the best success when I do work for a client, when they say, hey, so-and-so, Wall Street Journal, whoever, it could be some low-hanging blog, it doesn't matter, reached out to me for a quote. And I'm like, that's awesome. Because that means you've been doing a good job, right? Identifying your expertise, developing content, and getting yourself out there. And then finally, as a hub, right, as a resource, you want to promote issues that actually matter to your community and your audience. That's why I said what Leslie is talking about makes perfect sense, because we have everything now. Before we had nothing. Now it's like, Jesus, we have everything at our fingertips to understand, like Leslie was talking about, who's down the street. I was like, wow, this is Tinder, right? So, you know, it's pretty funny. I don't worry about that Tinder thing. But anyway, so, you know, it's like, who's down the street? Are they drinking Starbucks coffee, or do they go to, what's that called, Pete's Coffee that I had this morning, which is pretty damn good? Like, what do they care about, okay? Only then do you know that you can talk about football to this person, coffee to the other person, blah, blah. You understand the issues that matter to that community. Okay, content selling. How much time do I have?
You have 10 minutes.
Okay, great, thank you very much. So it used to be, this is a very ugly graphic, but sorry. Anyway, so the old model, right, in sales, cold calls, sales demos, I mean, how many gazillions of tech companies are there, right? They're like, come to my website for a demo, and I'm always like, no, this is not what people want, right? It's not what you want. You want education, you want social networks, you want to engage. So it's closing by education and quality content. Okay, so this is, I said, something you could steal, right, that I did from one of my clients, which is a case study, right? So this is content planning, right? How many of you guys have an editorial calendar, and do you stick with it? Is the big, very good, big piece of it, right? So content planning supports social sales. Why? Well, it's not rocket science, right? If you put out content based on a theme and based on a category that your business or your executive or you, if I don't even know your titles yet, know a lot about, right? And you're measuring the effectiveness, like through Hootsuite or whatever, of this content, right? Then you'll know how to sharpen that content plan to deliver more content, parallel to what Leslie was saying, right? She knows what ads to serve. I know what content to sell, right? To get my client down to picking up, I know this guy, he's 55 years old, right? Actually, this is one of my clients. And he runs a process serving company in the legal industry. I actually know exactly what content this guy cares about. I know he doesn't have a lot of time. He's a direct person like me. He's from New York. And he just wants a video. Like, I know that down to the T, right? Like, down to this. So this is the point that you want to get to. Okay, moving forward. Okay, so how do they digest content today, right? So you could do just like social networks or a gazillion of them, right? Snapchat, I'm always like, I just give it to my niece. But, you know, but there's also a gazillion ways that you can create content. And one of the troubles that I see, which I think is a great opportunity for business-to-business companies, is when they start with content, they're like, damn, I don't have enough people, I don't have the resource, I don't know what to do, nobody has time for this stuff. So I say, okay, forget all that stuff. Let's take your old assets, right? Maybe you have commercials, maybe you have old white papers, right? Maybe you've done a webcast or webinar, I mean, I've seen this a million times over. A 30-minute video that my agency is going to cut down and edit, whatever it is, right? So this is a great way for you to get started. Actually, I have all my clients take out a spreadsheet and list out what content that they have, right? So they don't get worried, you know? So then they can start producing some of this content, because at the end of the day, engaging meaning you know everything about your audience member and your clients, right? Content is critical to social selling success. Okay, so just a quick, another ugly slide here is about content, marketing, and sales measurement, right? So content, as I mentioned, is a lot of work, right, Stacy? A lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of headaches, right? But it can drive to sales. So how do we measure this, right? So the first thing that we do is we have reach, right? This is standard marketing stuff, right, for anybody that's a marketer, like all of us, right? So we have reach. We want to understand, are we reaching our audience? So what are some of the metrics that we can look at? We can look at share of audience, key stats, right? In terms of, is this content actually visible? Like Leslie was talking about, driving impressions, right? Are people actually acting on this stuff? Which, Albert, you know, we were talking about like organic versus paid, right? We can see it right there on Facebook. It's really cool. Is anybody actually acting on it? Versus my mom, who acts on everything. She doesn't have. But she does, but not for this. But anyways, to conversion, right? Do they actually sign up for something? If my mom was here, she'd make me laugh way more than me. But anyway, so can they sign up for something, right? And then do people actually engage? This is the critical buzzword, right? Engagement. I can hear it all the time, right? To me, it means sales. To me, everything at the end of the day is sales, right? So they engaging, meaning, did they buy a printer, right? That, to me, is engagement. Did they actually take action instead of just fluff? So if you're using your analytics tools, which we were talking about previously, right? If you're marrying those analytics tools together, you have Google Analytics 360, right, which is an awesome dashboard for everything, right? You're tying it into you've set it up for social, so You have, all your social feeds coming in. So I know 43% of my audience came from LinkedIn, like 95% of them came from you, right? Whatever it is, right? So you're tying in your email marketing stacks, okay? You're tying in your Google Analytics, all your social things, if you're using a social tool, and you're tying this data together, right? And you get an engagement, and if you're super smart, what you're gonna do is then say, okay, let me stop here, and let me look and see, where did this engagement come from, and how can I pattern this stuff? And that's when you get into really great B2B marketing. Okay, sales channel mix, right? So this is another question. I don't know how advanced you guys are yet, because we haven't really met. But, number one thing, the social media is you want to understand what channels am I going to go after, what content, what's the frequency, blah, blah, blah. So the first thing you have to do is you have to understand the buying behavior, right? Which was, Leslie was talking about that. When it comes to me, I'll talk about, do I understand the lifestyle behaviors? Do I know what channels are on? Do I know what they care about? Do I understand the sales cycle? Do I know who's a thought leader? Right? So you need to understand the online behaviors and the nuances of each channel based on the content that you're going to put out there, right? So then you need to determine what your frequency is going to be, right? This has a lot to do with your resources, right? Your money and your people, because if you don't have a lot of money, you don't have a lot of people, you should not be everywhere and should not be doing everything, because then it just won't work. Start slow, right? Each channel requires specific content types and frequency of content, right? That's why you need a content plan, which I shared with you. And the channels need to be supportive of each other. And they also, in B2B, you need to think about how does this work for LinkedIn versus how does this work for Twitter? And I'm not talking about like just character count and photos and da-da-da. I'm actually talking about that audience. You know what I mean? Like, that audience is, in my world, is so different, right? You can get away with a lot more on Twitter, right, in terms of your personality than on LinkedIn. So you really have to understand that. Okay, next. Content sharing, also important. So I talked about, you've got to kind of assess your channel. So this is a very simple guide, very simple, about like average types of sharing in these channels, right? So LinkedIn sharing is really about referrals. I always encourage all my LinkedIn connects, just like I'm encouraging you guys, and I hope you'll do it, right? To actually connect with each other, actually get to know each other, and, and be a referral source. Because, that's really what LinkedIn as a social network was built to do. And it really is now, since it's opened its floodgates for the long-form writing platform, is an awesome platform for education, and now you can do live video on LinkedIn. There's so many cool things happening there. So that's a great way to do B2B education. Secondly, Facebook, right? So I always say when I do this presentation at schools, like Facebook puts the social and social network, it does. I mean, it's really about personal sharing. So B2B companies can moreover use Facebook for community development, culture, having like specific careers pages. It's a simple example. Pinterest, image sharing, right? Twitter, news sharing. You guys probably know a lot of stuff. Tumblr, blog, not so much. YouTube, very important. Video, very important, right? Video gets, there was like an eMarketer stat last year that video content in B2B gets engaged with 434% more times than written content. It's pretty important, but you have to do it right. You have to have a video strategy. That's really important. Social media optimization, if you're not familiar with this term, is very important. So if you go through spending time and money building a website, which should be the home to drive business if you're a B2B company, you want to make sure that that content is able to be tagged, shared, rated, and reviewed. Finally, social bookmarking, right, is the storing and sharing of links of interest. 3 minutes? I'm going to try to fly through this then.
You have a couple of minutes.
Okay, no, I don't want to steal your time. All right, so social brand, right? So social branding, I did have some books to give away, but if anybody wants a book, just let me know. Because I write a lot about social branding, it's really important, right? So social branding, right? Everybody in here is unique and different. Everybody in here has some strength, something that makes them really interesting, right? Right? You guys are interesting? Okay, good. All right. God. So, you are interesting. All right, you're interesting. Monica's interesting.
Yes.
Steffi's interesting with that. Okay, so the whole point is every single one of you guys, right, has an opportunity to become really valuable in your business or the business that you work for or whatever. In my world, we call it personal branding or social branding or online branding, right? Because the number one reason that people do business with each other is what? And they like and they trust them, right? Okay, good. I don't know where you're from, but it could be different where you live. All right, so anyway, so social brands that drive B2B sales, right? So this is just an example of social, those are some social brands that I personally like. You might have other people that you follow, like in posts, that you share their content, right? So if you're an individual social brand, right, you actually, and you say this, you know what, Jasmine, yep, I want to be a social brand, I want to be a thought leader in my industry. Guess what you have to do? You have to commit to it, okay? Because what this means is you are committing to thought leadership, okay? You're committing to being authentic and delivering content that is valuable, whether that's in a community or to your peers, and you need to remain consistent. This is really important stuff. They also, when I shared that nice picture of the social ecosystem, they're committed to nurturing the ecosystem. A simple example is what I was talking about with LinkedIn. I commit to serving my LinkedIn network every single day. It's just a thing that I've been doing since like 2005. Very important, right? So how can you do this? I just want to give you some quick homeworks in case you guys like homework. I don't, but you know. So, no, seriously, this is important stuff. If you said, hey, you know what? I want to be a thought leader, or my executive wants to become a thought leader, then here's some things you can do. First, defining your social brand. So I said that you probably all have individual strengths, right? So what are those top 3 strengths? I mean, I don't know what they are because I don't know you guys, but you can determine that, or you can ask your social networks, right? Why did you buy from me? Tell me a little bit about how you observe me. What are my talents? What are my strengths, right? Because once you define and say, okay, my LinkedIn headline is going to support these strengths, then guess what? You need to be consistent with those strengths for your LinkedIn profile, throughout your messaging, your conversations, right? Because that will inevitably make you this hub in that ecosystem that I was talking about, right? So it's how you're different, yet better than the next, what I call competitor, right? And then you need to commit to that position. Finally, you need to have a plan for how, where, and to whom you'll actually deliver this personal brand. You guys are probably all doing this today, I would assume, if you're on social media. But you probably don't have a specific plan, and a plan always starts with a goal. So I love this picture because this is like all about style, but when you talk about personal branding and social branding and having a style, it's not so much about how you dress. Yes, I like the suit. And today when I walked in, some guy said, I like your suit, and it made me happy, you know? But it's not about what you look like, it's actually about how you communicate, right? That's really important. So how do you communicate and what are you comfortable with, right? Like we're talking about where people sit in a room. You guys are comfortable where you're sitting in the room, right? You picked that seat for some reason, right? And I picked standing here because I actually like talking. If you haven't noticed, right? I actually really enjoy talking, it's fun. But maybe you're a better writer, right? Maybe you love video, you know? Maybe you want to do a podcast. I mean, podcasts are awesome, right? So maybe you want to be the next DJ. I don't know what it is. But to be a social brand and get your voice through all that crappy clutter in social networks and social media, right? It's about having a brand, having a voice, having it become authentic, and choosing how you want to communicate. Okay. When I have a negative time?
You're in negative time.
Okay.
Go ahead. We'll take you guys are okay losing a minute or two from Q&A to hear the rest?
Okay, sorry. I'm trying to get through this. Okay. Another piece of homework here, which, how many of you guys blog now? Who blogs in the room? Excellent. Very good. Okay. And you blog on a weekly basis, bi-weekly? Weekly? Bi-weekly? You look like a writer. Weekly. Very good. So, you know, it takes work, right? I mean, you got to set aside time. You got to set aside time and you got to focus and you should have a content plan. So delivering your brand through blogging, if you haven't done it yet, you could start, like I always have my clients start with the LinkedIn writing platform because you have an embedded audience. They're there, right? Easy, okay? Is it going to be your best at the end of the day? No, you have to do it, yes. Your best should be where you're driving your customers, right? Okay. So blogging can help, right? But how you blog is up to you. And that goes back to that style. You could have an awesome video blog. You could have a video podcast like I've been starting to do with Winner Leaders, right? You could write, okay? It doesn't really matter. The point is, if you know your audience, you know what they care about, okay? And you want to have a voice, this is a simple, smart way to start. Okay. LinkedIn tips for social selling, just a couple of the channels, right? So, you know, LinkedIn, because I'm talking about B2B, right, is the #1 B2B social network. Today, maybe something will happen tomorrow. I don't know, I can't see into the future. But today it is, you know? So, #1 thing is you want to invest in a personal brand on LinkedIn, right? You want to have that LinkedIn profile current, okay? You want to have it say what you do. You want to share your strengths. You want it to be engaging. That's really important. I mean, I track the hell out of LinkedIn because it's my favorite social network. But the simple things you can also do is building and nurturing your first network of referrals, right? So everybody in this room after this, I would love to take your cards. Why? We don't have to. But I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn so you can see if I'm BSing today or if I'm for real and I'm going to help you. And you should help each other, you know? Because your first network should be the ones like those are your friends, you know? Those are your business friends. I want to help these people. I'm looking out for them, you know? I'm not just saying like, congratulations on blah, blah, blah. But I'm actually looking out for them. Okay, and I'm sharing something with them that's important. I mean, back in the day of B2B sales, we used to cut things out of the Wall Street Journal and send it to our prospective clients, you know? But it's the same type of thing now, it's just much easier. Participate in target groups. My favorite thing to do, actually, is groups, right? Identifying what peer groups do I need to be in, right? What target vertical groups do I need to be in? Am I an influencer in the group? They call it like an all-star contributor in LinkedIn. But participating in targeted groups is hugely important. And then finally, we talked about committing to long-form posts and doing daily short posts of value. Like, so for me, last night, I talked about coming to this today, right? It's important. Then I'm going to tell them, hey, you missed it, you guys stink. Here's what you missed, you know what I mean? So, you know, you can have fun with it, but it needs to help us. So, Twitter tips for social selling, very simple stuff. Follow targeted influencers, right? For me, Twitter is the best for reaching out and engaging with targeted media for me and for my clients, right? So I have a list, right? Lists of journalists that you want to follow them, right? Lists of influencers that you want to share, you want to connect with. Finding opportunities using hashtags like ClickCityLive, right? ClickCityLive San Francisco, right? It's really important because all the people that couldn't come today, hopefully they're following the conversation. Hopefully they're having that FOMO and they're going to come to the next ClickCityLive, right? That makes a lot of sense. Understanding your buyers' behaviors and interests by personal conversations. I could give you a million stories how I made that work for me to understand because I love sports. So like, what football teams do they care about? What hockey teams do they care about? Whatever, you know? It's a great way to find out about the people that you want to reach out to. And then building relationships daily because B2B is all about relationships, right? So engaging in the conversations, right? Supporting their networks, right? You want to do that with every social network when it comes to B2B. And then participating in targeted tweet chats. So actually on my calendar, every week, I have tweet chats, right? And if I have the time to be in them, I'm in them. They're extremely targeted, extremely qualified. And it's really actually helped me on Twitter to be engaged in those tweet chats, to meet other people, right? Then they become my friends on LinkedIn. Then they become my referral partners. That's kind of how it works. And then join in offline events, Twitter conversations, like a ClickCityLive example. YouTube tips for social selling. Okay, I'm gonna go. All right, so lastly, this, and then we'll go. Okay. So lastly, just to give an example of B2B social sales, like success in a team, you know, the optimal team, really you need to have a coordinator working with content producers and a really good social media manager who understands data analytics. Thank you very much. I'm Jasmine Sandler, and here's Stacey.